Hi again, here we are for some daily JavaScript, and I've got this example that we did over the last two sessions, and it's got these little boxes that flip over. And what I'd like to do is maybe talk about how we might turn this into a game or something, right? And so far, this is working pretty good. What I'd like to do, though, to make it more interesting is instead of using the same two faces here, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have the back side of each card have a different image and maybe a different color, too. So they're all different, right? And then maybe we can use it as, tic-tac-toe or do like a matching game or something, right? And then we can talk about random numbers and, how to arrange our styles and that kind of stuff, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to look at what I have here, and you can see that the front and, each one of those cards is arranged in this format right here. It's got a box, class is the container, and then inside there are two divs, the front and back, and this is the front face of the card, the red side, and the back is the blue face. And you can see that the front and back classes, the styles here, share a lot in common. Right, so this whole thing about position, absolute, left and top, and then all of this stuff here, back color, background image, background position, background repeat, back face visibility, width and height, like pretty much everything here is the same on both of these except for the back face has, rotate Y 180 degrees, right? So why don't we do this? Why don't we give each one of these a class name, and we'll call it card, okay? And I have 9 of these, and instead of pasting this, 9 times, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of them, right? And then I'll just type card into the first one and copy it and paste it. There's 2, 3. Maybe I'll copy this one. There, so now I got 9, right? Okay, and let's do this. Let's say card is going to have all of the common features. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this background position, repeat, visibility, width, height, position, left and top, and I'll cut that and I'll paste it here, right? And then for back, I'm going to delete everything here except for the rotate, well, actually except for the color blue and the background image, right? Okay, so now there's kind of a better arrangement, okay? So all the cards are, position, background position center, no repeat, back face visibility hidden, width 100, height 100%, right? Position absolute, left and top of 0. And then the front will have a background color of red and a background image with this picture, and the other one will have a background color of blue and a different picture and be rotated 180 degrees, right? So we'll save that. Let's give it a quick test. Always good to test those things, right? Oh, it seems like it's working still, right? And now let's talk about how do we assign a random image and color to the back side, okay? So to do that, there's a couple ways we could do that. There's a few things we can do here. The route that I'm going to choose is I like this class thing, and we're talking about, in the last video I used, toggle class. So my JavaScript was really just adding a class name to an element. It wasn't really affecting the properties. And I kind of like that idea, and I'd like to explore it more. And so I'm going to take that idea here too. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a series of classes that define the color and the background image for each of the different faces that I want to see. And then what we'll do is we'll assign a random class to each one of the cards, okay? And what I'm going to do is I have a bunch of images in a folder here, right? So here's all my images there. And what I want to do is I'm just going to, for convenience, I'm going to name the class with the name of the number of the image so I can remember which is which, right? So this will be alien number 2, right? And then, you know, for this guy, it'll be, and what I'll do is, since the back side is going to use this, I'll cut that out and I'll put it here. And then this will be alien number 2. Okay, so so it'll be background blue, you know, background image of this picture, right? If something has this class, and then we can copy that. And I'm using alien number 8 as the front face, so maybe I'll skip that one and I'll use number 9 here as the back face, and then maybe I'll change the color here. We'll call this one, I don't know, what kind of colors do they have here? How about aqua? There we go, right? And then I've got 9, and then this will be 10. And so we'll change the name here to a different picture, and we'll do this one aquamarine. How about that, right? And then we'll copy again. And then this will be number 12. And I'll change the image here to 12. And maybe we'll do bisque as a color, right? And then we'll paste again, and that was 12, so this one's 13. And then we'll change the color to a different color. You know, and you could pick any colors that you like. And we'll do that one as blue-violet. And 15. And then we'll give it a different color here. Maybe make that brown. And then 16. And then we'll change the file name here to 16. And let's pick another color. How about chartreuse, right? And then we've got 17, right, is our last one. So there's 17, and then we'll change the color again to, how about coral? There we go, right? Okay, so now I've got these class names here, you know, alien 17, 16, 15, 13, right? And, you know, if we assign one of those to, you know, the back card, here we'll just do a quick experiment. Maybe if we assign it here as, we'll do alien number 17. You know, if I assign it here to the class name, then, you know, this first one is going to have that alien. The other ones don't have anything because we didn't assign it yet, right? But that first one does, right? So, so now what we're going to do is we're going to assign these class names with JavaScript. So I'll just delete that one for now so it doesn't double up. And what I'd like to do is down here create an array. Let's call it alien array, right? And this array is just going to contain the class names. So, you know, alien 17 is one of the class names. Let's get that list so I can see the file names, right? So there we go, right? So now I can see the names here. And we didn't do number 8, but I did number 2. Number 9. 10. 12, 13, 15, 16, and 17, right? So there's all of our alien classes, and they match up with the class names that we've created above, right? So now that we've got this, how do we get a random item out of the array? And that's a pretty common task. Let's do a quick example with the console, right? So, for example, if I wanted to get a random item from the array, I would need to do this, right? I'd say, alien array bracket, and if I want to get the first item, I'd put a 0 here. But what I really want to do is I want to get a random number. So if I say math.random like this, I've got a random number between 0 and 1. But what I need is I need a random number between 0 and the length of the array, right? So I can multiply by the length of the array, right? So there now we're multiplying by the number of items, but this number here that we're getting, the random number, is between 0 and 1. So it's a decimal number. So, imagine if this number was, 0.07234, right? Then, if we multiplied by the length of the array, which is like 8, then, we're going to get a decimal number, and, we can't say get, the element from the array that's at position, 4.2, right? That doesn't work, right? It's got to be an integer. So what we want to do is we want to say math.floor, and we want to round this number down, okay? So that's getting pretty long there. Maybe I'll do this. Let's put that random number in this this variable here. Let me cut that out of here, right? Right, so what we'll do is we'll say, okay, let's set r equal to, this random number that we want to generate here. And then we'll put r right here inside the array, so as the index, right? So let's save that. And then we'll take a look here. And I'm going to go to the console. And then you can see it says alien2. And if I refresh, it says 17, and I'll refresh again, and it says 13, and I'll just do that a few more times, and you can see every time it's a random one, right? Okay, and so that works out pretty good. This is kind of an ugly line right here, and let's point out what floor is doing for us, right? So floor says round down. So if we get a number and it's like 1.1, then this floor says just round that off to the nearest whole number, which is 1. If it's 2.75, then floor is going to round down to 2. Okay, so it always rounds down. Okay, so that works out perfect for us, right? Because we want a number between 0 and 1 less than what's in the length of the array, okay? This whole thing right here is kind of long and complicated. There's a lot of stuff in there. If you're doing things like this and you find you might do them often, right? It's probably best to make a function. So why don't we make a function here and call it random? And what we'll do is we'll take a range. So this is the range that we want. So we want from 0 to 1 less than this number, right? And what we'll do is we'll return this. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that. Okay, and instead of doing alien array.length, we'll do range here. So now, every time we call our random function, we'll pass it the range, and we want 0 to this value, right? Or 0 to 1 less than that value. Then this will return that to us, and we don't have to do a lot of work. So right here, if we wanted to use our random function, we'd say random, and then the range for us would be alien array.length. Okay, so that's kind of a lot cleaner, right? Now we could actually just insert this right here, and it would actually not be as bad as it was before. But anyway, there we go. So we've got that. And now what we want to do is we want to do one more thing. So I want to use this and the array, and I want to apply, these classes randomly to each one of the back faces, okay? So we tested our theory here. Let's actually just test that again, right? It's probably better to do a test. I think it's going to work, but since we changed this to this function here, maybe there's a problem. Let's save it, and we'll test it again here. And I'll test a few times, and it seems to be working. I'm getting random, I'm getting random class names here in the console, so I think it's still working. So now let's do this. Let's put a couple comments here. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to apply a random item to each one of these back cards, right? So just the back card. So what we're going to do is we're going to use jquery.each function. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the items that are class back, and then I'll say each. And what each does is for each item, right, each executes a function, okay? So it's going to look at each div that has the class back, and then it's going to execute this function once for each one of those, okay? And what happens is that the keyword this is the element that you're currently working on. So as we loop through each of the back elements, I have 9 different divs with back. This is each one of those 9 divs one at a time, okay? So this will be the first div called back, right? And what we'll do is we'll say add class. And what I want to do is I want to add a random class, right? So, we could borrow this maybe. We'll just do it the same way we did here. So I'll say, var r is a random, class name from our array. And then what I want to do is I want to add that class name right here, right? So I'll say alien array bracket r, and that'll be our random class name. And then it'll loop again, and for each item with the class name back, it will apply a random class, right? So let's save that and give it a test. So I'll refresh it here. Let's go to the elements here and let's take a quick look. So you can see the first box, the back card has alien 16, which is this one. And then the second one has alien number 2, which is that one, right? And then if I go to the third one here, you can see this one also is alien number 2. So these two match, right? And then the third one is alien number 12, and it's a different picture, right? So there you go. There's a quick example of using, arrays, randomizing items from an array, and then applying the effects from JavaScript to elements on the screen using classes, via your style sheet. So, I'll point out what's nice about this is the actual look of the elements is not handled in JavaScript. JavaScript is just applying, a class name, and that's just saying like, this element should have this appearance. And the appearance is not defined in JavaScript, which is kind of nice because that doesn't tie, file names and color values into our JavaScript code, right? It keeps our JavaScript code very clean and organized because it's based just around the class name, right? So anyway, there's one technique that might be useful for, a lot of situations. And this example is not super exciting by itself, but, I'm thinking maybe in the future we'll build this into a game or something, right? And anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that's helpful to someone.